Hi, and a warm welcome to this Oshua conversation. I have with us Letitia Lim, CEO of Interactivity, a leading audience and campaign intelligence platform for digital signage. Letitia is a widely experienced professional. She has worked with some of the top organizations, and she's also the co-president of the La French Tech Taiwan that promotes collaboration opportunities between France and Taiwan innovation ecosystems. Letitia, I also get to understand from your profile that you had 13-year-long experience working with L'Oreal. So I think you come with diverse experiences, and I think the OH industry will be tremendously enriched by your participation in this very ecosystem. And I'm really happy to have this opportunity to have this conversation with you today. So we know that year 2020 was an eminently forgettable year for businesses worldwide, right? So I'd like to know from you as to what were the real impacts on the digital OH industry in the near to medium term, and how do you see the demand for Interactivity products and service offerings in the coming months and years?
Yeah. So maybe first of all, hi Rajiv, and thank you so much. To you and to Media for Growth to give Interactivity the opportunity today to share with our Indian peers. That's definitely no one can ignore India as a market, and so it's really a real pleasure for me to be here and share with you our views among the Interactivity team. So regarding your question about 2020 and getting into 2021, definitely it's like we say in French, la palissade, to say that it will be unforgettable year for most of us, personally and professionally. No need to say that. And during that year, definitely our industry out of home and digital out of home, because we are basically engaging with people on public spaces out of their home, we have been impacted heavily, right? So now, definitely, Interactivity, we pioneered the space, and we've went through many, phases up and down. So it's good to have down, because when you have down, you can get ups, right? So
absolutely.
So the way we see things are always very positive, okay? And we do believe that definitely COVID has somehow, somewhere accelerated trends. So it does, it has created some new trends, but it actually does very much accelerated underlying trends. And maybe there are, and some digital transformation happens within months, whereas it would have taken years for them to happen without COVID. So I think that is positive in the sense that definitely it has pushed our digital out of home media to converge with online even more and faster. Okay, so what do I mean by that is the advertisers, so the brands who are basically investing into our space, they have been demanding more than ever, more flexibility in our media, more transparency, about where the data we provide to them in terms of measurement of our performance, for instance, are coming from. How do we prove that actually they are objective, have metrics, and not just, a survey that goes down, years ago, and especially in COVID, when the situation evolves every single weeks or days. Whatever you have today, it's not what you had yesterday. So they're really demanding more transparency as well, the publishers, and also security. Right, because one of the key learnings they've been also getting from investing heavily in online advertising in the past years is that, with all the robot and all those fraud issues happening online, they do care about having their brand being advertised and engaging with audiences in a secure and safety manner. So I think all those demands that actually advertisers have been honestly requesting for online for quite some time, it's coming to the out-of-home space. And it has been accelerated because budgets are limited.
Right. Absolutely.
So I think that there is this convergence. And to answer your question about, for QVD, do we see that as a positive, evolution? We do, and we think it's positive for the industry as well. Like I said, because QVD, we have been from day one back in 2006 really the advocates of real-time, high fidelity, high accuracy data, because we think this is where the value lies. So for us, definitely, we've been seeing our partners and clients during COVID, yes, getting really challenged by the crisis, but on the other hand, the network who have been using high fidelity real-time data are actually being able to prove to the advertisers that there is a reality to their audience, and basically kind of guarantee impressions and guarantee, give confidence to the advertisers who actually during this crisis were willing to spend money into their network. So those networks are getting advantage. So they've been getting benefits out of that capability to demonstrate the reality and prove the reality of their audience. So we're happy that QVD during that crisis have managed to support our clients to do that and to win budget in a very challenging, limited budget environment. Now,
wonderful. That's great to know. And one of the key things that you pointed out, Letitia, is that advertisers would definitely look for greater accountability and a greater understanding of where their ad dollars go and what kind of returns they get. For that to happen, I think audience metrics and the audience data would become very, very important. And I noticed that QVD has a very strong offering by way of the audience measurement platform, the AMP that you offer, that integrates with digital signage players, digital signage software, DOH networks, programmatic platforms for digital OH, among others. So my question is, what makes QVD's audience measurement platform really different from competition, considering that a lot of other players are also developing these things in anticipation that this will indeed become the only currency for doing business in the OOH or DOH space?
Yeah, definitely. And we see that actually positively, the fact that people are developing that, because that's a sign that there is a market,
All right.
We always welcome competition because that, is a sign that actually the market has potential, and that's also pushing us, to stay a leader, to be a leader, and to deserve to stay, in the number one position. So going back actually to AMP, so our solution about audience measurement platform, like I said, we pioneered actually the space.
Right.
So back in 2006, quite some time ago, and so we invented that. And I think one of the key competitive advantage we have is the fact that we pioneered this. Why? Not because we were the first one to be the first one. It's not my point. My point is more, when you are the first one and you invented that, somehow you write the story together with the industry stakeholders. And along the way, you learn a lot. Along the way, you make mistakes. Along the way, you find solutions that actually have a business sense, right? Because there is no sustainable growth if at one stage, it doesn't bring real business value to the brands who actually are investing into that, area, and to the publishers who are investing to equip their network with solutions like ours. So I think one of the major key differentiator is being the pioneer. We have accumulated so much know-how and best practices along the way that today are benefiting every single publishers or every single partners who are interested to get into that journey with us. Okay? So that's the first thing. And definitely when you look at it, our platform and data and AI have been used, are currently used by, in more than 80 countries, serving hundreds of clients, a wide range of, players, from leading out-of-home network, such as, Clear Channel Singapore, in bus shelters, or Patisal in Canada for the transportation, going to shopping centers like Simon Malls, or Westfield in US, Century in Australia, the major shopping center in Australia. So we've been really basically working with a variety of digital out-of-home network out there. and we also actually, and that is less known, to be frank with you, Rajiv, also, present and getting more and more into retail.
Okay.
Yes, and equipping actually, because screens are getting into the stores to make a difference, in terms of helping, the brands, the stores to engage more and drive more traffic on sales. And we are also basically, our AMP, audience measurement platform, is also actually capable to equip screens, powered screens inside retailers. So I would say that all in all, with all those years of experience and deployment, today we are pretty proud at QVD to say that we have by far the largest install base than actually all our competitors combined together. So we're really happy, to have newcomers in the space, because that is really motivating us, push us harder to reinvent ourselves and keep always, one step further to maintain our thought leadership position. But de facto, I would say we are the standard for high fidelity audience measurement for digital out of home and digital signage.
Wonderful. So I think you're absolutely poised to push harder in this particular space, especially when DOH networks and the OH industry as a whole globally would have to be moving in this direction. So, wish you the very best in that particular space. Coming to the other aspect of digital out of home and digital signage is that interactivity is one of the very interesting aspects that makes digital OH very, very interesting for brand advertisers. So do you really see wider application of interactive tools in the DOH space, or are there any limitations?
So actually, so we pioneered AMP, so audience measurement for out of home, and interactivity, we pioneered that as well. So we run actually, we run the first interactive campaigns in the world. It was run powered by QVD's technology. Okay.
Oh wow.
So we basically really have this vision that actually when you go out of your home, we should, there's a picture where you have big billboards, out of home, and you have this small little phone that everybody have in the pocket, and everybody just look at like this instead of looking at the screens. And that is, for us, it's really, we have this vision that how can we make the screens and the content on those screens more relevant and engaging, in order that people just, engage with that big billboard instead of just keeping watching their screens. And interactivity is for us a way to do that. Okay? That's why we've been a believer of that, and run the first of its kind, a few years ago already on that. Now, interactivity, we see basically two types of interactive campaigns. The first one is really the active one. So it's the one where you basically play a content, and what you want and what you are looking for is to have the audience reacting to that content, making an action, smiling, raising hands, scanning a QR code, whatever. So you want to trigger an action from your audience. So that's what we call active interactivity. And that type of campaign, it's definitely great to bridge online and digital out of home. And it's wonderful to create a wow, what we call the wow effect, to really memorize, those campaigns, very impactful, and create the buzz, on social media, etc. And it's also very and resonating in social media. And I can, now the challenge of those campaigns, because we also went through a lot, is that it's not always scalable, to be frank, right? Because you cannot, it costs a lot to produce the creative of those campaigns, to execute it, because those campaigns is the ones that you do once a year, twice a year, to really anchor the brand into the audience mindset, right? So we have plenty of that example that we run, like Women's Aid in UK, who actually won a Lion Can. So an award at Cannes, and that was against domestic violence, where actually the more people were watching the content, the more the face of the woman were healing. When you were stopping watching, then Bruce got back on the face. So very impactful. Yes,
yes, of course.
I got you get the chance. Yeah. So actually, that was like almost 100 million tweets. 350% higher engagement time.
Right.
Okay, so this kind of campaign is what we call active interactivity campaigns.
Right.
Another one is the GMC. I don't know if you saw that, for car companies, so General Motors, a campaign in US where actually, if I remember correctly, it was like hundreds of different content which were triggered in real time based on the behavior in front of the screen. So if you were a woman or a kid or man smiling or raising hand, engaging or not, there was in real time, tailor-made story, like giving you the feeling that the screen were actually speaking to you and engaging with you in a personalized journey. And that campaign actually managed to drive 50% higher traffic to General Motors booth inside the shopping mall during all the period of the campaign. So not only it created a wow effect and a strong engagement, but it does translate with an increase in traffic, so in business. So that are, for example, two types of examples of campaigns that we ran. Now there's, like I said, another group of campaigns which we call passive interactivity. So those ones does not require an action from the audience. However, those one do deliver, are scalable, much more than the first type, and they are also delivering massive business uplift. Okay, so why? Because actually it's leveraging on Quibity's technology to basically adapt dynamically the content based on the audience in front of the screens, based on the strategy of the brands. Like if a brands like Nike want, for millennials to deliver this type of content because Nike thinks it's more appealing, and then when there's a senior person in front of the screen, it's more content B to be displayed. Actually, we measure that those type of content dynamically triggered campaign are getting double-digit higher uplift in terms of attention time, in terms of traffic and sales. So those campaigns for us are more the core business of interactivity versus the first one, which are more the why, the buzz effect.
Wonderful. So, Letitia, do you really see a wider application of interactive technologies? In the sense, are they going to be limited to specific environments, or do you really see this really taking off in a big way?
I think the second type. So the first type will always happen, right? Because brands need at some moment of the year for their birthday, whatever, to anchor, to make a big buzz. Right. So that will continue. And the other one, which is more scalable, we think could definitely at the end being done automatically for programmatic, for instance. So that is where I think the potential, the largest potential is, right? Because once, all the networks are, connected properly and made available, assets are made available via, DSPs and SSPs to the brands. And those assets could be purchased in real time via programmatic trading platforms. Then you could actually imagine that all those triggering factors that I just described are, made available through those trading platforms. Right, to the brands and to the agencies representing the brands, and they could basically just tick, like when you do, choose all those factors to basically make sure that their content and campaigns are shown to the right audience to maximize the ROI of that. So I think programmatic is possible with those passive interactive campaign type.
Right. Oh, you mentioned about the programmatic, and I think is it really the quintessential growth catalyst for OH? And the other thing is that there are a large number of DSPs and SSPs that are there. Is there a need for a common approach to integrating these platforms?
That's definitely, something that is on top of a lot of people's mind today, not only in India. Definitely, we see programmatic as a growth catalyst for digital out-of-home. Definitely, that's the future, even though it is still, to be frank, at its infancy today. So a lot of people are talking about it, and that's good. Now, when you look at the percentage, it represents, it's just single-digit percent, right, at the moment, and we are really counting on PDO, so programmatic do, to really scale, out of home overall, and win actually a higher media budget over other media. Other media. So it's growing fast, the fastest, double-digit every year, especially in North America and Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what we've been seeing in the recent years. Definitely, we see international technology, trading platforms, audience measurement standards across, all the different DSPs, SSPs, publishers. We see that as being essential and critical to basically support and accelerate programmatic growth. Now that, to be frank, is growing, not as fast as all we want. So, there are challenges there to come out with international standards, even though this is the direction everybody wants to go towards to, and will have to go towards to.
Okay, wonderful. One other
and I would say, maybe to come out to finish on that, because I would say that at the end, our views on having, international standards. So like I said, a lot of people have been working on that. There's different type of data set that can be used. Now our views on that at the end is what matters for digital out of home is to be able to be purchased by brands with a frictionless experience, exactly like online. So whatever creates frictions is actually not benefiting to the industry. Okay, because to be able to scale, brands and agencies representing them have to be able to buy the same way, digital out of home assets as they are buying online. So it has to be frictionless. And we think that is what is the most important, right? Does it goes or requires immediately international standard or not? Maybe not, but it has to solve all those frictions and all those gaps. And it has to be able, by doing so, to be able to allow digital out of home to plug into the omni-channel strategy.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes.
So brands want, when they launch a product, when they run a campaign, they want to have an omni-channel view and approach. Why? Because consumers are omni-channel. So you have to be there where consumers are, and you have to engage with them at the right moment in their omni-channel journey. So all the things, technology, automation, etc., that are helping standards, that are helping to go towards that, is basically positive. That's our view, and because that will grow revenue for all of us. And QVD, our little role, I would say, in that in all that vision, is to provide digital out of home players with real-time, high-fidelity audience data. And we think that is bringing this layer of quality and transparency, which brands actually like a lot from online advertising. So we are kind of glue, bridging digital out of home and digital media. That's how we see our role. In this programmatic, future growth.
Absolutely, and I think that kind of an integrated approach is really going to do wonders for the OH industry as a whole. And I think that is an expectation that's the right expectation that we can set for that industry. And I'm sure QVD will have a very defining role in that particular space as well. Letitia, I also understand that you developed a campaign intelligence platform to measure and optimize the performance of campaigns. Please tell us how this platform is contributing to deeper brand engagements with this industry, because that's a very, very critical part when it comes to brands deciding on how much they need to move in the direction of OH or DOH space. So if you can tell us a little bit about the campaign intelligence platform that you have.
Yeah, so actually, we pioneered the space with AMP, Audience Measurement Platform, which is basically answering the question about how many people actually saw my campaigns, how many people were actually in front of the screen. So that is the how from AMP. Now CIP, Campaign Intelligence Platform, it's more focusing on answering the question about how well actually my campaign performed. So it's more qualitative insight. So the purpose of that is basically to bring brands a better understanding about actually how their campaign engage or not with each demographic groups, each gender at different time of the day, on different locations of the screens. And it's basically aiming at providing consumer insights to help the brands to moving forward to optimize their future campaigns so that they spend well their money. Okay, so how do we do that? We do that thanks to by leveraging on the 60 billion data that we have accumulated through time, in different markets, in different type of venues, and we've been basically analyzing, all those data and come out with what a proprietary smart model based on actually those the analysis, the data sets analysis we did on those to basically understand the audience dynamics and how actually different type of contents, different type of format of content, different type of video or static, different type of headline, different type of even color font are basically performing in front of different type of audiences. And all those know-how, very granular level, we are basically providing it in a user-friendly way, easy to visualize dashboard named CIP to the marketing people, the publishers, but also their client, the advertisers, so that they can understand very easily, actually with benchmark, with scoring, how their campaign performed versus their previous campaign or versus a typical average campaign running in the same network during the same period of time, etc. To enable them to really understand how can they do better moving forward.
Wonderful. Let's share my final question. Quivity, as far as I know, is not active in emerging markets like India. Whereas we do see this Indian OH having enormous potential to become really one of the engines of growth in this Asia region.
Yeah,
if there had to be any reason for Quivity to really have a large footprint in this market, what would those preconditions be?
Definitely, we still have many countries, we need to explore, and India is on top of our mind, right? So we're definitely very keen to explore, the opportunities in India. The market over there, it's huge, the potential is huge. So that's definitely something we are now starting to look, deeper. And we are pleased to see that actually India is catching up maybe later than some other mature markets, but the chance of doing of coming a little bit later is actually you can learn from others, right? And you definitely, are going to benefit from all, the best practices that other markets went through before, you guys, and catch up faster, right? So that's the benefit of also coming, a little bit later, and not sweating and suffering, and so you'll have your own, okay, I'm sure, but definitely whatever have been learned before in other countries, definitely will benefit for you guys, and that's how we see our roles as well. So what we've been doing now to follow more about Indian market is, number one, we are closely basically following the Indian out-of-home industry discussions around trading currency, around audience measurement standards, and we've been actually talking to some of the people involved in the association and sharing best practices.
Wonderful.
Okay, about what's happening in other associations in more mature markets. That's the first. The first approach we have. Right. The second one is we've been actually getting into very interesting conversation with digital out-of-home players in India who are actually interested to use Quivity real-time audience data to measure their network and to enable the brands to optimize, the campaigns. And actually we run, and you were one of the speakers, thank you so much for that, last December, our APAC conference.
Right.
And definitely we've been having a very interesting conversation since then, because that enables us to have visibility. Also in India, thanks to you guys as well, and I'm sure, you'll see and you will hear much more about Quivity in the coming, months and years in India.
Oh, that's very, very heartening to know, and we really hope that you will come and make a big growth story for yourself and for this industry here. And I wish you all the
yeah,
very
we love
best.
to, because I like to see you on the screens, but I definitely would prefer see you in person.
Absolutely, same here. Would love to have you come over and also even address the Indian industry. We do have platforms like our outdoor advertising convention, which is widely attended, and we look forward to having you
We'd
over.
love to. Okay.
Your participation and an opportunity to interact with you. So thank you so much for this opportunity to have this discussion with you, Letitia. Maybe this is the beginning of many more conversations. Let me wish you a great year ahead, and thank you so much once again.
Yeah, thank you so much, and wish you all the best as well. And in Taiwan, we are just past the Chinese New Year, so 新年快乐. Okay, Happy New Year to all of you for the Year of the Ox.
Thank you so much.